Hey everybody, this is Wayne from the Wayne and Kate Show, and I'm with you today for a quick thought. And today's topic is the topic of boundaries. Now, boundaries are important because all a boundary is a line that separates something that is safe from something that's unsafe. It keeps us from going into places that we shouldn't go. So if you think about driving along a mountain road and there's a guardrail on one side, that guardrail is there to provide a boundary for you, to keep you from going in a place that you shouldn't go. I'm up here on the top of our education building, and this is one of my favorite places to go because it lets me get away from the hectic office things that are happening below me, but it also gives me a view of the city, a place to come and pray, and also it's just a quiet place where I can collect my thoughts. And if you notice, around the top of this rooftop, there is a low wall, and this low wall kind of provides a boundary. If I were to go on the other side of this wall right here, let me show you what would be on the other side. Now you can see that's not a place that you want to go. In fact, it would probably be pretty dangerous for me. And so this low wall provides a boundary, a place that delineates the safe from the unsafe. And that's what boundaries often do, much like a guardrail on the side of a mountain road. But sometimes boundaries serve another purpose, and that is to keep dangerous things from getting to us. So sometimes it protects us from going to where it's dangerous, but then also the other times boundaries protect dangerous things from getting to us. So think of like being at the zoo, and you are near the lion cage. There is going to be a large fence there, and the purpose of that fence is to keep the lions from getting to you, because they would want to do all kinds of destruction if they were able to get to you, okay? And so that's important to think about. I want you to keep those two perspectives of boundary in your mind as we continue to talk about what the Bible has to say about boundaries. Now, God's Word has a lot to say about boundaries, okay? And we learn, first of all, that God is the one who gives us boundaries. The reason we should follow or live by boundaries is because God commands it. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11 says, "Dear friends, I urge you, as aliens and temporary residents, to abstain from fleshly desires that war against you. Conduct yourselves honorably." Okay, so what this passage tells us is we are to abstain from fleshly desires. Now, our fleshly desires are constantly tempting us to cross boundaries, to go places that we shouldn't go, to do things that we shouldn't do. And Peter is saying, hey, look, by God's declaration, you are to abstain from those things. In other words, you are to set up boundaries in your lives. Now, if you think all the way back to Exodus, when the children of Israel were before Mount Sinai and the Ten Commandments were given, the whole purpose of the Ten Commandments is for God to prescribe boundaries by which his people should live, or within which his people should live. God is providing boundaries for them, and if they live according to those boundaries, then they're going to experience a blessed life. But if they get outside of those boundaries, they're bringing destruction on themselves. And so God says we should live by boundaries. That's one of the reasons we should do it. But also we should live by boundaries because boundaries provide a protection for us. 1 Peter 5:8. Peter says, "Be sober, be on alert. Your adversary, the devil, is prowling around like a roaring lion, looking for anyone he can devour." So just like you would not want to go to the zoo if the fences were down around the lion cage, you don't want to live life without boundaries or without fences, because if you do, you can rest assured that your enemy, the devil, is going to destroy you. That is his desire, is to totally wreck your life, to destroy your testimony, and to bring pain and suffering in your life. And so by setting up boundaries in our lives, we are actually protecting ourselves from the enemy. And then not only do we protect ourselves from the enemy, we also protect other people from us, because you and I, if we're not careful, we will allow our selfish inclinations and our selfish desires to cause pain and suffering in the lives of other people. That is why Peter says in 1 Peter 3:8, he says, "Now finally, all of you should be like-minded and sympathetic, should love believers and be compassionate and humble, not paying back evil for evil or insult for insult, but on the contrary, giving a blessing, since you were called for this, so that you can inherit a blessing." So Peter is saying, hey, look, you need to have boundaries in your life. You need to live lives of humility, and you need to not allow your fleshly desires, your fleshly inclination to cause you to lose self-control and to bring pain and suffering in the lives of other people. So boundaries are so important because boundaries protect us from evil. They're given to us by God, and they protect other people from us. Now, all of us live under boundaries. Sometimes the boundaries are given to us by others, like children living under the authority of their parents, employees living under the authority of their employers. We all live within boundaries that the government sets for us. And some of us are really good at setting our own boundaries, but ultimately all boundaries fall under the boundaries of God. God sets the ultimate boundaries. And so the only way you can know those boundaries is by studying His Word and applying His Word in your life. And when you do that, you will find that your life is a life with boundaries. You know where the safe zones are. And when you're in those safe zones, that is where you experience the blessing of God. Jeremiah 29:11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in a future." When you are living within the boundaries that God has provided for you, God is able to pour out His blessings to give you hope, to give you future. It's when we get outside of those boundaries that we are in dangerous territory. So I want to encourage you to think about, what boundaries do you need to set up in your life? What do you need to be doing differently to put yourself in a safe zone? What are the areas of your life where maybe you're over the guardrail and you're flirting with disaster? Hey, you need to move back from the edge, and you need to set up some fences so that you can protect yourself and protect others. I hope this was encouraging to you. I hope that you found it very practical and applicable for your life. And I encourage you to tune in tomorrow. Katie's going to be sharing a quick thought with you tomorrow, and then the rest of the week we'll have our normal programming on here. Hey, subscribe by clicking the subscribe button down here, and put any questions or comments in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, help us to get the word out, and I hope you have a blessed day. We'll talk to you later. See ya.